Just introduce myself. My name is Faith Gunner. I own Gunner Consulting LLC. I am a previous birth entrepreneur. I own Mama Gracie's Pregnancy Shop and Spa, and just still have a heart to bring local birth businesses to Minnesota families. So today we have two birth businesses in Minnesota to introduce you to. Before we get started with that, I just want to thank all of you for taking your time to come out here to listen to this. And we encourage you to think of questions and answers for these two Minnesota birth professionals that are here, for you to really start your journey of your birth story and what's going to happen in your life. This event is being recorded and we will post it. We have a series of questions we're going to ask each of them, where they're going to take their time in responding. And I am monitoring the questions and answers. You are also able to submit anonymous questions, and we'll just get going. So Sarah Alicia, wow,
Hi.
is a birth photographer. Welcome, entrepreneur Sarah Alicia. Give us just a little quick intro.
Thank you. I'm Sarah Alicia Waugh. I am a birth and motherhood photographer. I'm located in St. Cloud and serve most of central Minnesota.
Fantastic. Welcome.
Thank you.
Lucy Faye, hopefully I get all of this right. Doula, postpartum support, yoga instructor, and nutritional coach. Welcome, entrepreneur Lucy. Give us an intro.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me on today. I'm so excited to be here. Yes, I am Lucy Faye, and yes, I have a list of stuff that I do for mothers around the Twin Cities area and the suburbs surrounding that. My main way that I work with my clients is through a birth doula and a postpartum doula, and that includes nutritional support, breathing exercises, yoga movements, all of the naturopathic healing methods that I am learned in and love to share with you to get you to heal and to be the best version of yourself.
Fantastic. Welcome. Well, Sarah Alicia, you're going to be the first one to answer this question, and just to really take your time. And we want to hear your birth business story. How was this business birthed?
Yeah, so it kind of all started with the birth of my first daughter, actually, back in 2016. It was a very quick birth, from what I remember, and it was just very intense, but it was just such an amazing experience, one that I had never really thought I would endure, I guess. But because I was so in my head, kind of in labor land, I don't really remember very much of it, of that experience. Um, and unfortunately, I didn't have a birth photographer at the time, so it was kind of a bummer not really remembering it. But I've always kind of felt like there was a part of me that I was missing, from that experience. And I guess if you fast forward about 6 months after that, one of my friends from high school was actually looking for a birth photographer, and I thought that was really cool. And so I decided to reach out to her, and ask if I could do her birth, because I had been a photographer before that for several years. And she said yes. And then in March 2017, I photographed her birth, and it was exhilarating. Seeing her husband supporting her through the contractions and just the love and devotion that he had with her. And just like seeing the baby be born for the very first time and meeting the parents and the baby and their parents meeting the baby. It was just it was so amazing. It was just a labor of love story, really. And it was really inspiring. And I knew immediately that I wanted to keep doing that. And then I ended up actually photographing 2 more of my friends' births that year in 2017. And then after that 3rd birth, I kind of felt like I was being called. Like this was supposed to be what I was going to be doing forever. And so I kind of just listened to my gut. And at the beginning of 2018, I launched my birth photography business.
Fantastic, fantastic. A great story. Thank you.
Thanks.
Lucy, I am curious about your business birth story.
Well, it is a birth story. I've been dealing with newborns for a very long time now. I grew up working as a nanny, and several of my families that I was working with welcomed home newborns, or I started working with them as a newborn. And I loved coming into a family, being able to help them through that phase and being able to care for them and just enjoy that phase of that family just coming alive. And so I've been a nanny for since I was about 12 years old. And then I learned that a postpartum doula was a thing and a career, and I was like, that's mine, that's me. So I was trained as a postpartum doula, and then through that training, I thought I might as well train to be a birth doula as well. And throughout that training, I just fell completely in love with it. And I got to do my internship with the Health Foundation's Birth Center in St. Paul, and I loved it. It was such an incredible experience for me to be with those women in that moment and with that family as it became a family again. And it was just such a beautiful time for me, and I loved it so much. So I knew that this was it for me, and I get to, do what I love and be there for these women and make their labor and their birth such an incredible experience for them. So, and then throughout my previous, college years, I went to school for health and wellness management and nutrition. So then that became part of how I help my postpartum women and clients heal from birth and heal in their postpartum recovery. So it's a very important tool that I have to use, which is great. And my yoga training as well helps me to further heal that process. So it all comes together in a nice little package for my clients.
Fantastic, fantastic. So the second question is really just some of it is in your birth story, why you do what you do. But our second question is we really want to understand why you do what you do. There's a lot of time involved. Pregnancies are unexpected. Labors last a long time. What is your passion? We'll come back to you, Sarah Alicia.
Oh man, I have a lot. I think that first of all, it stems from the feelings of yearning for wanting to know what happened in my first labor story. And I actually kind of confirmed that when I had my second baby back in May of 2020. I had a very, very precipitous birth. It was actually 1 hour from start to finish. So you can imagine it was pretty intense. But my birth photographer, who I did hire a birth photographer for that one, she missed it by just a few minutes, and it was not her fault. Obviously, I had a very fast labor, but after or even though she only got the postpartum portion of my labor, or of my delivery photographed, it kind of confirmed for me that birth photography is a very healing, and it's a great healing processing tool. So, and that's kind of what I've heard from my clients in the past too, is that it helps them process their birth stories, having their births photographed. And I think that's a really important thing, for the whole birth photography genre, is that it's just able to help you remember what your story was, and to watch your baby being born and see what you looked like when you met them for the very first time, and just remember all those little details that you may have forgotten about. And so I think that's just really cool. But also another big part of the passion that I have for this line of work is there's just so many injustices in the birth world, especially here in the US. And it's really hard to deal with, but I've been really diving into like evidence-based birth stuff over the last couple years, and I've started my own doula training as well. I'm working on that journey now, and I've realized that I need to be using my voice to help people understand how many of these injustices people are dealing with. I mean, we've got Black mothers are dying at a rate of 3 to 4 times that of white women. And we've got so much birth trauma happening, and it's ridiculous. And so my heart lies with trying to voice the importance of getting over that. We need to crack down on these injustices in the birth world, and let it be known that it's not acceptable, and we're not going to fight, or we're not going to stand for it anymore. Like, our C-section rate is astronomically high in the US, and unfortunately women are going through so many unnecessary interventions during labor and delivery, and it's leading to injuries and deaths of both the mother and the baby. So I guess my passion just lies in trying to break that.
Yeah.
I want to fix the world.
One baby at a time, right?
Yes.
Oh, I love where that story went, where you're just identifying. I mean, we know, infant mortality can happen any place, but yes, just when we start to become aware of some benefits we have in the United States with some good healthcare, but then we sort of, I mean, that's the heart I have, is that women get to meet the two of you, get to meet other birth professionals, and really do get to line that up with their own values. So I really appreciate you being transparent about your heart toward those injustices. Fantastic. Yeah. Lucy, so yeah, why, I mean, I know it's the nanny job and the postpartum, but what is your passion, and why do you do what you do?
Well, first I'd love to just piggyback off of that story, because that was amazing, and I would love to collaborate with you at some point, because that was a great story and a great passion, and I think our visions align very well together. So I would love to chat with you personally and work on this.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. But for me, having this passion of healing the woman and making her best version of herself, so that she is healthy, she's able to show up in her best version and her light, to make a healthy family, to make a healthy community, to be her best self for her, and just enjoy this time as becoming a mother and becoming, this staple in your family. And I think that's incredibly important. And our postpartum depression rate is astronomically ridiculous. And like that's the first word when you Google postpartum, it comes up postpartum depression, which is what you know, that's really sad, because postpartum should be this time of bliss. It should be this time of you get to hold this newborn little being that you created. You know, it should be just filled with love. But as a society, we've come, you know, so far from supporting these mothers in this time and giving them the tools to heal themselves and to just grow as a newborn mother, as well as this tiny little human that you're growing. So, and you know, through my experience, I've seen how much just a little bit of the right support helps this mother.
Right.
Just a little bit of that support. And if we could get a whole lot of that support, the right support, it's just, it makes a world of difference between the mom who's crazy burned out and exhausted and doesn't know where to turn, to this vibrant, healthy, love of light human being that's just ready for the world, that's growing this human being. So that for me, and through my own like health challenges as a woman, I've, you know, researched all of this stuff to try to heal personally, and then try to use that to heal other women as well. So I think that nutrition is a big part of that for me, and getting to share that with other women is a great blessing that I've been given. And yeah, if I could see more women on my social media or in my life, in my community, just vibrant and loving it and so happy that she's supported and healthy, instead of, you know, oh, I'm exhausted, I can't function, you know, like, I want to help you, I can help you, just you deserve this help. You deserve to be supported. This is what you deserve. You've grown an entire human being. You've pushed it out of your body. You deserve to be supported. You deserve to be healthy and happy and vibrant. So that is my mission, to try to help that.
Excellent. Well, I mean, this is great, and I hope, I know there's maybe some people attending right now. We have the chat or we have the Q&A. If there is any questions that you have for these two, please, please give them to us. Send us an email at pregnantinmn@gmail.com. We're going to be sharing sort of links of where to meet up with the two of them. So that just kind of leads me into, or we're still waiting for some other questions. I don't have any, but can you let Sarah Alicia, can you let people know how would they find you, and like and what? Yeah.
So the best way to find me is on my website, www.centralmnbirthphotographer.com. I'm also on Facebook and Instagram as Central Minnesota Birth Photographer, or if you type in Sarah Alicia Waugh Photography, I'll come up on Facebook. So.
Okay, fantastic. Lucy, how will they find you?
Any social media, you Google Lucy Faye, I'll come up on Facebook or Instagram. You can go on my website. It's lucillefaydoula.com. Lucille is Lucille Faye. And yeah, you can DM me through any social media or email me through my website, or just book directly on the website if you see a service that you are certain about. That's fine. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, you know, one of the things that I think about is, you know, mothers, families who are going to, you know, listen to this for the first time, have not even thought about this. So as we kind of wrap up our time here, can you just let that mom speak to that mom right now about, we'll talk about birth photography first. What should she and or the family be thinking about either before they call you or definitely as they work with you?
So I always send out a questionnaire to my families who I work with, and I kind of try to gauge what they are looking for in a birth photographer. Are they looking for a certain kind of shot that they want, like, or what is their reasoning behind them hiring a birth photographer? Did they have a loss in the past and they wanted and they want to be able to cherish those moments forever? Or is it just something that's really important to them and they want to see how their partner was able to support them during labor? I want to know from you why you want to hire a birth photographer, because that'll help me create the best story for you.
Fantastic. Thank you. Lucy, what speak to that family, that mom out there who is feeling exhausted. What would she do? Maybe she doesn't have the resources, or you know, I always think, sorry, Lucy, I always think about, I want people to get in the mindset of these being baby shower gifts, that these are the kind
Yes.
of things. But Lucy, so we're going to pretend a woman has received funds to be able to have you as their doula, or they have decided to make that choice. What's the next steps, or what should they start thinking about?
Yes, I love it's the perfect baby shower gift. Give your mamas this gift of me. But so for birth doulas, I always like to ask one question that I always ask is, what is your love language? How do you receive love? And if it's physical touch, if it's words of affirmation, you know, if it's acts of service, that helps me to be able to serve you the best that I can, that you receive that you know that you're supported in that way. So if it's physical touch, it's massage, it's counter pressure, it's all of those things, holding your hand. If it's words of affirmation, you know, you got this, come on girl, like let's do this, you're so strong, you're a powerful being, you know, all of that stuff. So that's one of the questions that I really like to ask each of my moms is, what is your love language? And it takes some time. So I give them a few days to kind of think about that and like feel that way. And then I like to establish just open communication, because on that day when you're in labor, that can change. Like I love massages, but if I'm, you know, in pain, I might not want to be touched at that point. So like just this open communication of, that's fine, you know, I'd like a minute of hands off. Totally good. You got this. Just breathe. You're okay. All of that stuff. So for my birth clients, that's one question. And for my postpartum clients, I like if they just write down any kind of questions or concerns that they have like throughout the week, because, you know, I talked to a newly postpartum mom. I'm like, okay, are there any, you know, questions or concerns you have? And they're like, well, I had some, but I forgot what they were. So like any kind, like just grab your phone, you know, put it in your notes, just jot them down any way you can. And you can, you know, email them to me as well. If they just pop into your head, that's totally fine. I welcome all the questions. But I want to tell that mom that you are supported and you are not alone in this, and it doesn't have to be exhausting and draining, and it doesn't have to be that way, and you are loved and supported, and we've got you.
Fantastic. Well, I don't see any questions coming in. I am going to open it up. What would the two of you, as we wrap this up, and what any other things you would like to share?
Oh, I don't know. I'd like to have a collaboration of the two of us or the three of us of
Yeah,
what we're doing.
I think that would be really
Yeah,
fun.
no, I love the two of you. I love your heart. I mean, there's things that I mean, here's what's fun. To me, I mean, as Sarah Alicia, as we were sort of preparing for this, you did tell, I can't remember if that was your favorite or some, you know, was it a crazy story or maybe it was the same story where you were asked to come in, or I feel like somebody couldn't make it to a birth, or I mean, is there sort of real life experience without disclosing, you know, too much about anything, but maybe your favorite birth that you've done, or Lucy, you know, what, anything.
See, it's so hard to choose. Every birth story is so amazing to me, and they're all unique in their own ways. But I think my favorite experience with that was that very first birth that I did. It was she was a high school friend, and then we hadn't talked in several years until that point when I reached out to her to ask if I could be her birth photographer. And then we ended up becoming very good friends. Now we're best friends.
Cool.
So
Cool.
it was pretty cool, but just the whole experience of being there and seeing somebody in a vulnerable state is, it's kind of hard at first, especially if you know them and you're like, oh my gosh, this person is in pain and I'm just standing here like taking pictures of them, like what do I do? You know, but I don't know, it just kind of, it it was the foundation that I needed to be able to better myself as a birth photographer. Um, and it really set the bar high, knowing that I need to do this right, and I need to figure out the right way to tell every birth story so that I'm not missing any details, and so that this family can remember everything that happened that day. Because when you're concentrating on labor and pushing and the whole birth, you're not necessarily thinking about all these other things. So I've actually had families tell me, whoa, I didn't even know that that happened. So it was pretty cool to be able to be the one that gave them that memory back that they would
Yes.
have otherwise lost.
Yeah, very good. Very, yeah. It's the healing piece. Lucy, anything that has been rewarding or memories that always have come up for you with some of your births?
Yeah, so many of them, and I'll piggyback again off of Sarah Lisa's what she was saying about, you know, it's so like as a doula, as a birth doula, I try to kind of capture those little moments of, you know, their partner supporting them and the first moments of the baby. You know, I try to, you know, snap them on my phone, and like they're not super quality pictures, but they're pictures and they wanted them, and I tried to be that. And but I do keep like notes of how the birth went and like how long things lasted, and it was like, you were, you know, doing this for this long and you were pushing for this long, and like just kind of notes of how the day went or how the night went. And
Oh, nice. So nice.
then at our postpartum visits, we kind of get to talk through that, and that's really been a healing process for them to just kind of get a grasp on what was actually going on. And you know, it gets distorted when you're just in your own little zone. You know, you're trying to deal with contractions and pushing a human being out of you. So
I know. You're right. Right.
yeah.
Well,
So
yeah.
and lots of, I mean, each one of my births are, you know, so special to me, and they each have their moments of strength. But again, I will go to my first birth, which was such a magical experience for me. And I didn't think that I would like it as much as I did. I didn't think I would be okay with it because I'm kind of squeamish around like the medical side of stuff. So I was like, I'm gonna pass out for sure. Like I'm gonna pass out. But I loved it. And I was so just there in the present moment with her, and with their partnership was so magical. And I fell in love with it. So
Yeah, I mean, how you sort of talk about the babies and talk about the moms and the families is just so inspiring to me. And I'm maybe not as up on the COVID situation as I should be. But you are able to go into hospitals, or what restrictions are we looking at right now in the pandemic?
yeah, so when I first started, I wasn't able to go into the hospitals. So I was just at the birth center, which was fine by me. I loved working in that space. So I still haven't been into the hospitals, but I know from a few colleagues of mine that they are allowed with, like, you have to clear it with your doctor and your team. And then they need a pass, and they need to be checked when they walk in, and you have to be all geared up and everything. So it's a bit of a process going into that situation, but it is possible. So
Fantastic.
yeah.
Sarah Alicia, has there been any, I mean, the photography can go in, or are they thinking differently about that in this pandemic situation?
No, we haven't really been very successful, at least not in central Minnesota. I'm not sure how it is closer to the cities, but right now, at least in St. Cloud, we're not allowed in.
Okay.
I believe there's only one support person allowed the whole time that the mother is there. So
Right.
typically that wouldn't be me if they
Yeah.
have a partner of some sort. So that's been kind of a bummer. But most birth centers and home birth midwives are okay with having a birth photographer. So,
Yeah.
it's just another person on your birth team.
Yes,
so.
right. I forgot to ask though, do you do maternity and then newborn photos, or are you just, oh, you do?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And I forgot to mention that actually earlier too. So my work surrounds all of maternity and pregnancy, and then postpartum. So I do maternity, I do lifestyle newborn. So it's not posed, but I do go into the family's house and photograph it like a documentary session.
Yeah, right, right.
And I do breastfeeding photos, or other feeding if you don't breastfeed. I'll capture any way you feed your baby, because I think it's important to normalize all of that.
Yeah.
And then I also do postpartum sessions as well. So it's kind of like a day in the life of bringing your baby home from the hospital, or even if you're not freshly postpartum, I still will do them for even older babies and younger children as well, just to capture how the mother takes care of the child. And it's an experience.
So good. Oh my goodness. Well, I'm going to wrap this up. This has been just such a fun time. I feel like we have really been hanging out. Hopefully people who watch this will also feel like just that we welcome you into this space that we just had. So thank you, the two of you. I know you stretched yourself and you did it, and we'll see what we can do with the partnership going forward. So thank you.
Thank you for inviting me. This was really fun.
Yes, thank you. This has been such a great experience. I
Excellent.
Can't wait to work with you all more.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah, so I will just say thank you for watching. If you were watching this, thank you. And we will send out this recording to people who registered, and we'll see you on our social media, Pregnant Minnesota. We also have Pregnant Wisconsin. So we're coming out to find all the Minnesota and Wisconsin birth businesses. And so thank you. Bye.